Alright, I'm on my way to make a new video for my channel. Who's it about again?
Because actor and activist Terry...
Nope. Hell no. I don't want to do this. What's up, y'all? It's Yeet Discreet coming at you with a video. First time. It has to be a video about Don fucking Lemon. Why? For those of you who know me, I'm not the biggest fan of Don Lemon because he's an anchor on CNN. It's not that I'm not a fan of CNN in general. I mean, a lot of what they say I'm not really, I can't really get jiggy with, but Don Lemon in particular, along with Chris Cuomo, those are not my favorite anchors in CNN, just because of the fact that they present things that they consider to be their own truth, but really it just means it's the truth just twisted a lot of the time. And this is really no exception. We got Terry Crews up here. He's actually given an interview right now. He's given some pretty legit points, some great points. And as you'll see in this video, he's actually he was brought on this. He was brought onto this segment for a reason. You'll see. Let's just freaking get it over with. I need to stay break.
All right, everybody, please listen to this segment because actor and activist Terry Crews facing backlash for tweeting, "We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better." Here's how he explained it. Are all white people bad? No. Are all black people good? No. Knowing this reality, I stand on my decision to unite with good people, no matter the race, creed, or ideology. Given the number of threats against this decision, I also decide to die on this hill. Terry Crews joins me now. Terry?
What? Why would he need to defend that? There's nothing objectively wrong with that statement. He didn't say anything inherently incorrect. That is objectively correct. If you are a person, if you're a human being, if you actually practice good, then you are a brother of Terry Crews. That seems to be a pretty unifying statement in a world where everything is a racial dichotomy. It's either us versus them, blacks versus whites, left versus right. Everything is this or them mentality. It is basically adversarial all the way around. Why is that controversial? Why does he need to defend that statement? What was even wrong with that statement? What objectively was incorrect about it? What he says is correct. Not all white people are bad and not all black people are good. That's correct. I mean, it really doesn't matter what color you are capable of either or. And what he is saying is there are more than one race, Don. There's blacks, there's white peoples, and there's the Mexican peoples, and then there's the Native Americans. I thought I should just let you know that real quick, Don, because I feel like this is about to be stupid as hell already. It's about to be stupid as hell, isn't it? I forgot I watched this video already.
Man, you stepped in it. You say that you're willing. You say you're willing to die on this hill. You've taken a lot of heat for this. Explain what you were thinking and why it's so important that you die on this hill.
Well, again, I wanted to bring up the fact that there are some very, very militant type forces in Black Lives Matter, and what I was issuing was a warning. It's one of those things where I've been a part of different groups, I've been a part of different things, and you see how extremes can go far and can go wild. And then when you issue a warning, and when a warning is seen as detrimental to the movement, how can you ever have checks and balances? In the 60s and 70s, airplanes went down all the time. And the reason they found out why they did was because the pilots could never be questioned. And when you have the leaders of the Black Lives Movement who are now talking about, if we don't get our demands, we're gonna burn it down. Other black people who are talking about working with other whites and other races, they're being viewed as sellouts or called Uncle Toms. You start to understand that you are now being controlled. You're not being treated as loved. You're actually being controlled. Someone wants to control the narrative. And I viewed it as a very, very dangerous self-righteousness that was developing that, that really viewed themselves as better. It was almost a supremacist move.
Let me jump.
And here is the first indicator that the interview is going to be fairly one-sided. What he's saying isn't wrong, exactly, because Black Lives Matter, the movement, has become somewhat aggressive and borderline militant by detailing all of these demands that some of are really unreasonable, like getting rid of the police, defunding the police and stuff like that, and other things like that. They're unreasonable. And then they have this ultimatum that says that if these needs aren't met, then XYZ is going to happen. Even if they aren't going to actually use any type of violence, it still is unnecessarily aggressive. And those of us black people that actually want to be a little bit more peaceful with other races, including white people, we're seen as sellouts, and we're seen as Uncle Toms, coons, and what have you, and we have to give up our black card because we don't fit the traditional politically black narrative. I don't really know exactly what that means or what it entails because it hasn't been clearly defined, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, we have other people who actually want to live peacefully with other races, and yet you have Black Lives Matter coming up and muddying everything with their super aggressive ways of trying to achieve equality. And it's not helping things. It's not helping black people in general look good at all. It's not helping our cause. It's actually starting to hurt it. And that's what Terry Crews is actually trying to bring up here. But then you've got Don fucking Lemon coming in saying, I'm gonna just jump in. No, dude, you let him finish what he has to say, bruh. And not only that, but Black Lives Matter, their supporters, and the activists that make up the entire organization, I know most of them that I've talked to, not all, they are kind of insisting that their way is the only right way. When I come out with my beliefs around the organization, a lot of them say that they automatically assume before they even look at my social media photos that I am not black, that I have to be white, because what I am saying is not the same thing as a black person. It's not what a black person would say. And not only that, when they actually see, a lot of them, when they even see my photos and they see that I am actually black, they tell me that I'm not black. They tell me that I'm a coon. They tell me that I am some sort of Uncle Tom or a race traitor or what have you, because what I say does not reflect the same needs or the same demands as the organization itself. So therefore I must give up my black card, and therefore I am wrong. As if black people can't think independently. They can't have their own beliefs independent of the Black Lives Matter organization. It has to reflect the Black Lives Matter organization 100%, because we all black people are a hive mind, apparently.
Themselves as better. It was almost a supremacist move.
Let me jump in,
where
Terry.
they viewed that their Black lives mattered a lot more than mine.
Okay, so let me jump in here. There's a lot that you said. You think Black Lives Matter is, you said you think it's an extreme movement? Because it's now part of the...
No, but this is the thing. It's a great mantra. It's a true mantra. Black lives do matter. But when you're talking about an organization, you're talking about the leaders. You're talking about the people who are responsible for putting these things together.
I got you. So let me, but
it's a different thing.
Terry, you realize that even during the civil rights movement that Dr. King was seen as extreme. That movement was seen as extreme. To people who don't want to make change, movements are seen as extreme. You can paint them easily as an extreme when they are not.
Oh my God, I hate it when people do this. I hate it when people use MLK as an example to try to justify the extreme rhetoric that has been coming from Black Lives Matter. It's not the same thing. MLK was largely peaceful with his entire movement. His whole movement was largely peaceful, with maybe a little bit of aggression, but for the most part, the vast majority of it was very peaceful, and it helped to highlight the harsh treatment that they were enduring. You didn't see them going around saying, that type of rhetoric is actually very aggressive. It's very militant. It's pretty violent. I mean, you're saying pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. They may not be saying that right now. It may not be as widespread, that particular statement, but what they are doing, their actions have been showing that they still reflect that same exact sentiment even now. You got them going out and doing shit like taking over parts of Seattle, and I'm hearing that they're taking over other parts in one or two other states. That's actually pretty militant. That is what a military power does when they are trying to take over a particular territory or trying to conquer something. They go in and they invade and they take over and they become the main power of that particular territory. And that is basically what has happened. This is a militant act. This, by any other country, by any other organization, by any other individual, would be perceived as an act of war, or at the very least a way to try to start some type of fight.
Easily as an extreme when they are not.
This is very true, but also when you're talking about MLK, you're talking about Nelson Mandela, and even Malcolm X, they all realized that you had to have a non-racial component to these kind of movements, or there will be resentment. There will be get back. There will be, one of these people will tend to, listen, I don't want to move from one oppressor to the next. And one thing is really
who's the next oppressor? Who's the next oppressor?
Oh, when I describe this, when you look in the city of Chicago, there are 9 children who died by gun violence, by black on black gun violence, from June 20th all the way to today. And you're talking about, even with the Atlanta child murders, there were 28 kids who died in 2 years. You're talking about a month, and you have 9 black kids, and the Black Lives Matter movement has said nothing about this.
What does that have to do with equality, though, Terry? I don't understand what that has to do with equality, because listen, there's crime. There are people in those communities those people aren't just being nonchalant about gun violence. I lived in Chicago. There are many people who are working in those communities to try to get rid of the gun violence. The gun culture in this country is prevalent, but I don't understand what that has to do with a movement that's for equality for black people. It's not mutually exclusive that if you care about equality for black people, that somehow you're going to stop random violence, or unfortunately kids from being shot. It just seems like apples and oranges.
It's not that way. This is the thing, Don. Black people need to hold other black people accountable. I said the same thing.
Yeah, this is the reason why I say I don't like Don Lemon. Fuck the fact that he's left-leaning. Fuck the fact that he has all these beliefs and things like that. I don't care. I don't give a shit about any of that. The fact is, he asks questions and then he interrupts a lot. Especially if they are either conservative or if they disagree with left-leaning narratives or what have you. I mean, he always feels like he has the need to defend them. I don't know why, but you are aware, Don, that you are a journalist, which means you're supposed to be presenting us the information in an unbiased way so that we can make decisions based on the information given to us. Terry's correct. This is where a lot of people, even black people, are fooled. Black Lives Matter is a great slogan on paper. It's an objectively correct statement. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So people just hear the mantra and they think that, yes, black lives do matter. I'm going to go ahead and join that group because I believe that black lives matter. They don't really pay attention to the fact that that's not how the group rolls. Don, let me just educate you a little bit here. I'm looking directly at their website right here on my other phone. I'm looking at it right here. Right here. Look, let me just zoom in for you so you can see it. This is their actual website, Don. Can you see it? It says specifically that we are guided by the fact that all black lives matter. Regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs, or disbeliefs. It's right there on the website, Don. What the hell, man? The website actually says that all Black Lives Matter, which carries the idea that all of the Black lives that are killed by anybody, regardless of what circumstances surround it, all those Black Lives Matter. Every single one of them. But they don't. If Black Lives Matter actually cared about Black lives, you wouldn't have bulletins and headlines running around that look like
calls for justice instead ended in unchecked rage.
But then around 3 a.m., I got the phone call and they said that, hey, you know, my 2 front windows were busted out. So I went ahead and came down, checked out everything, and yeah, like I said, it was glass everywhere, so they got me then.
You can see in the surveillance video windows being broken out during the chaos in Chicago's South Loop late Saturday night. Looters ducking in to take what they can.
I could see the glass being completely just shattered, blown out by some object that they threw through the window.
Black Lives Matter. I've worked here part-time. Plus, I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Why don't you choke me? I'm black.
Tell him, sister.
Look what you did to my store.
Tell him, sister.
Look what you did to my store.
Tell him, sister. That's
and you even got
being shot from a car as he walks hand in hand with his 6-year-old daughter. At least 6 of the innocent people caught in the crossfire over the holiday were children, ranging in age from 6 to 14.
You shot and killed a baby.
Atlanta's mayor expressed outrage over the death of 8-year-old Sequoia Turner, who was killed in a shooting.
And every single one of them were fucking black. See, I'm not trying to say that Black Lives Matter or black people should not have their own group for activism and for making a change. That should happen because racism actually does exist. And I do believe that it does need to be eradicated. But the point is, the actions need to speak louder than the words. And right now, the actions that are loud as hell, or lack thereof, is from the bulletins I just showed you. If Black Lives Matter actually cared about black lives, you would hear them speaking up about these black lives that have been lost as a result of the collateral damage from these riots and from these so-called peaceful protests. You would hear them at the very least offer some sort of condolences, or at least go in there and say, hey, our bad. But you don't. In fact, instead, what do you actually hear from Black Lives Matter as a result of all of these deaths and all of these businesses that have been destroyed as a result of the riots that they have actually been part of? What exactly do we hear? What are you listening to? Let's just go check it out. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. There's not a damn thing. They haven't said anything. They haven't done anything. There's nothing. There's no acknowledgement that it even happened. There's no apologies for it even happening. There's no repudiation of the people who have actually killed or who've caused the injuries. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And to show that Black Lives Matter actually cared about black lives at all whatsoever, all they had to do was say or do anything. Anything, literally anything, to show that they actually cared. At the very least, they could have offered some sort of condolences to these people who lost their family members. They could have offered some sort of assistance to those people who lost their family members. They could have actually reached out to them in some way, in any way whatsoever. They could have actually done something to try to help those people. They could have done something to actually try to help those people's communities actually get back up on their feet, to actually clean up their lives a little bit, to do anything that could have made things better for the children who died or who were otherwise injured as a result of the collateral damage that was actually sustained during these riots. But you heard and saw nothing, not a damn thing. And you know why? Because they don't care. They only care if it is going to meet a political narrative. They only care if it is a black person being killed by another white person, or if it is a black person being killed by another cop. That's the only reason they care. If they did, you would hear, if they cared about anything else besides that, you would hear them say something, anything. Even acknowledging the fact that it exists would have showed that they cared even a little bit, even surface level cared. But they have been completely and totally silent. If Black Lives Matter actually cared about black lives, they would come out and at the very least acknowledge that these tragedies actually happened. But there's been nothing from them. They've done nothing to show that they actually care. And that is the point.
You're a high-profile person. You're writing things out there. You know you're going to get backlash. You know people are going to respond to what you're saying on Twitter. So I don't think you should be surprised by that. I have a skin as tough as an armadillo because of what I do, and I think maybe you should have. And I think, and I don't mean this. I'm so upset by this story. I'm over it. I'm sick of talking about him. But here's what I have to say. The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about. It's not an all-encompassing. So if you're talking about, if someone started a movement that said, cancer matters, and then someone comes in and said, why aren't you talking about HIV? It's not the same thing. We're talking about cancer. So the Black Lives Matter movement is about police brutality and injustice in that manner, not about what's happening in black neighborhoods.
No, dude, we wouldn't say HIV matters to a movement that's directed towards cancer. What the fuck? No. We would point to somebody who has prostate cancer and say that, but their life matters too because they have prostate cancer. It's a type of cancer, Don. Oh my God.
But when you look at the organization, police brutality is not the only thing they're talking about.
I know that, but I agree, but that's not what the Black Lives Matter movement is about, Terry. Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and about criminal justice. It's not about what happens in communities when it comes to crime, black on black crime. People who live near each other, black people, kill each other. Same as whites. 80-some% of white people are killed by white people because of proximity.
Very true.
It's the same thing with black people. That happens in every single neighborhood.
You get the idea. That's most of the interview is just basically him just giving me anxiety and giving me more gray hairs in my beard than I already have with the kids that I have. And it's him really just interrupting Terry Crews and getting in the way of what he actually has to say. He asked him to defend his position. What the fuck, man? You asked him to defend his position and you sit there and talk over him trying to defend Black Lives Matter while you asked him to defend his position. That's not how an interview works, bro. All right, so since Don wants to wave away those really actually very important issues about black lives being extinguished by other means besides police brutality, I would like to start my own movement then, at least, even if it is a little bit small from this little bitty channel. I want to start something with a catchy name as well that'll stick in people's minds. We could go with Protect Black Lives, or Protect the Lives of Black People, or something, anything. Maybe it could be 3 words like Black Lives Matter, something that's objectively correct, but one that's going to be a little bit more honest than Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter is worded in such a way that they actually care, but they don't, by their actions, they show that they don't really. So once I get to a certain point with this channel, if I get to a certain point with this channel, I'll start accepting donations and stuff like that, but I don't really like talking about that right now. But if it ever gets to that point, at least part of the proceeds from those donations on this channel will go towards an organization that helps lift black people up in some way. But that's basically what I wanted to talk about in this video. My next video won't be as long. I'll be talking likely about black privilege as opposed to white privilege. This video or this channel is going to be focused on Black empowerment, including helping black people find ways to empower themselves instead of asking white people to do it for them. But yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and please follow my Twitter account if it tickles your fancy. It is of the exact same name, Yeet Discreet. And just remember, I'm not asking, but give me answers.